Alright, so I was gonna make the next Boon box a continuation of my talk about the Attitude Era, but I think given the current relevance of the subject matter, it'd be a much better idea to roll with my evidence that TV isn't as important as it used to be. So let's talk about how TV isn't as important as it used to be. Now, of course, I'm not here to downplay television as a medium at all, but let's look at what the form of media you're watching right now has over what most would call traditional audiovisual media. I'm able to connect with my audience on a more individual level. It is much easier for me to reach an audience that has a specific interest in what I'm doing. And of course, people can watch and rewatch wherever they want, so I can be a lot more subtle when I hint at future plot elements in the story-driven series. Digital media is fucking great. But here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with TV. It's a less personal outlet, but at the same time, it's an outlet where chances are you'll find something that you want to watch most of the time. TV also has certainly evolved some of the aspects of online media over the years, from the DVR to shows that involve fan voting, and even the watch what you want style of programming through Netflix, Hulu, and other more specialized on-demand services. However, one thing that mainstream media and web-based media will almost always differ on is taste. Fact of the matter is that mainstream media functions on appealing to the masses rather than appealing to the individual. And that's the audience that someone like a YouTuber can capture that Time Warner or Disney simply will never do. I mean, sure, there will be those that are fans of what you make, and in that way you are appealing to individuals, but it's not that they like Disney as a company, it's that they like the product that Disney produces, and Disney, in turn, wants to make a product that will appeal to as many of those people as possible. So in reality, that's why people are watching less TV. They're more interested in personal connection with the content creator than just being entertained by a performer. But you're probably wondering why I felt the need to talk about this instead of talking about wrestling more. Well, that's simple. Advertisers pulled out of YouTube because their ads were found on videos that promoted extremism and hate speech, and it was brought to the public's attention. Of course, they claim that they want more transparency, but let's be real here. They know exactly what videos the ads are on, and if the option does not exist to block a video or channel from having ads served on it by the advertiser themselves, then that's Google's fault, and it's a really damn easy fix. But let's talk about that whole transparency thing. YouTube already puts controls in place to prevent videos with offensive content from being monetized at all, through examining tags, descriptions, titles, and yes, even the words said in the video through the use of automatic subtitles. However, there's still a bit of a problem, other than the fact that automatic subtitles are dog shit. See, YouTube's system is still searching for terms. It's still searching for trigger words, for lack of a better term. Well, simply put, that's not a good way to do things when you're talking about the way people talk. If you have the rules too loose, you'll wind up letting through content that crosses the line. And if you have them too strict, you'll punish content that's doing nothing wrong. I would say that it becomes a difficult balancing act to make sure you're on the fine line where you do neither, but, well, that's where the issue comes in. When you do nothing but look for words without knowing the full context of those words, then it's always going to be one or the other, if not both in some cases. That fine line doesn't exist. So the solution lies in being able to go through large amounts of content and look for the context of what's being said. Now, of course, the best starting point for this would be to take the text we've already got and have computers learn the way these words are used, start isolating combinations of words that indicate something hateful, stuff like that. But the reason that a solution like that is needed in the first place is because of Google's volume. There is, simply put, too much content on YouTube, and too much being added at any given time, mind you, for anyone to be expected to comb through it by hand and find the advertiser-friendly content. So, Google has stated that they can't make guarantees that there will be no instances of ads on hate speech, which is certainly true, but they've also said that they're going to try. They're going to put in the effort to prevent that from happening. And if I were one of these advertisers, that would give me faith because I'm aware of how large an undertaking Google is taking. Of course, then we go back to the fact that television is being overtaken as a dominant form of media to understand why that might not be enough. See, this has happened before. Mainstream media loves to battle back against those who challenge them. It's been brought up a ton of times, but I think it's worth mentioning here anyway. The film industry battled against television for a long time, as did radio for that matter, when the music video became a thing. This doesn't really get brought up too much, but television fought against various forms of home media recording when they came about before deciding to use them to their own advantage. And of course, when online media was just getting a foothold, there was a fight back from television then as well. But they decided instead to use it for themselves. But there's a bit of a problem. You see, this is the first time where the old media didn't just absorb the new media and continue along this new path. No. This time, the pioneers of this new media are still able to overtake the old media that tries to use it to their ends. That's not to say that old media companies that dive into new media aren't successful or anything, but let's be real with ourselves here. They aren't as successful in places like YouTube as people who built their business in places like YouTube. But that's not to say they aren't asking for something that's, a good thing. Separating the stuff that crosses the line of decency from the stuff that doesn't in a more efficient manner is a good thing. But it's not an advancement that we can expect to see positive dividends for overnight, and I think that advertisers may use that as a power play against Google. My concerns are really the motivations of the companies involved, and I don't just mean those advertisers. Say what you want about certain things that they've done, but Google has almost always been much better than your typical large corporation about listening to its customers on an individual basis. However, the fact remains that Google is a large corporation, and they are perfectly capable of making a decision that hurts those at the bottom of the food chain, so to speak, even if it's simply because of the inability to see the forest for the trees, because I'm apparently full of metaphors today. So, as they implement these changes, will they lean towards the freedom of speech that makes YouTube such a special place compared to places like Netflix or Hulu? Or will they lean towards the dollar and the advertisers they could win back by going farther? YouTube is also going into the television market for themselves, so it is possible that the power play extends beyond just trying to muscle out the internet, but trying to muscle Google out of television entirely. I personally think that considering Google hasn't gotten as big as it has by stifling free speech, they'll do the right thing, but, the possibility that they won't is always there. Now, how many people have already called me a corporate shill in the comments?